twin sister moments on Divorce Court.
Why we're here today in divorce
We're here today because cheating is in his blood. He used to be married to my identical twin sister. I should have known this because the night before they got married at their bachelorette party, I was pregnant, so he didn't know I was at the house. I caught him coming home and bringing a girl to my sister's home.
He went out drinking and came home and went to her room and tried to give her $100 to sleep with him.
And what did she say?
She said, "No, you're like my brother. I can't do that. Are you crazy?"
What is this trend with married men going after their wife's twin? Of the many women to leave your wife for, it had to be her twin sister? Meet Andrew Suarez, the husband to Melanie Davidson Suarez and an ex-husband to Melanie's identical twin sister. Now, Melanie wants to follow her twin sister's path and divorce Andrew based on cheating. She said Andrew cheated on her twin sister on his bachelor's night with another woman.
Why we're here today in divorce
We're here today because cheating is in his blood. He used to be married to my identical twin sister. I should have known this because the night before they got married at their bachelorette party, I was pregnant, so he didn't know I was at the house. I caught him coming home and bringing a girl to my sister's home.
On the cheating allegations, Melanie said he is a cheat by nature, and he went as far as cheating on her with his client. She said that he saw a flirtatious email from the client and questioned Andrew. Would you believe that he even got matching tattoos with this so-called client of his? Yet, Andrew claimed not to have been sexually intimate with her. If you were in Melanie's shoes, do you believe him?
There's this other older woman. I opened an email from her and she says, "I couldn't help but to let you know that I'm so attracted to you, I can't help it."
She goes all crazy and takes off and starts telling people that I'm sleeping with some other woman, and none of that happened.
And if he says it's totally platonic, I beg to differ because they got the date they met tattooed on them, each of them.
Andrew's response to this was that Melanie had never trusted him from inception. And yes, he may have cheated in the past, but it's in the past. Melanie said he never gave her a reason to trust him and presented the court with evidence. What's in the evidence is a fake positive HIV test result forged by Andrew and sent to Melanie's mail. Andrew said it was a joke, but I think he went too far.
Are you gonna send somebody a fake positive HIV test?
Because she was telling me that this girl was so dirty and there were so many men, so I
So
figured...
you thought this would be amusing?
Yeah, in my sixth sense of humor, yes, Your Honor.
The cherry on top, Andrew has slept with 5 different family members of Melanie. So this looks like he's got a thing for this family. Andrew did not deny these allegations, but instead went about saying there's no love in Melanie's family and she and her twin sister were not raised with love.
In a romantic
Yes,
sort of
of
way?
course.
Because he's, you know,
Of course.
he's known for dipping in the same well.
There are about 5 different wells in my family alone.
It's a good well.
Mr. Suarez, ooh, you killing me.
What would you call a husband who offered to pay his wife's sister $100 to sleep with him? A cheat? Nah, that's far too nice. Meet the culprit, Mr. Dusty Smith. His wife, Mrs. Smith, said that he came back home drunk and went straight to her sister's room and wanted to sleep with her. Of course, in this kind of scenario, the husband will try to blame the alcohol for crossing that terrible line. But we all know exactly what this is. A man without boundaries.
Well, I had to work, so I was in bed, and he went out drinking and came home and went to her room and tried to give her $100 to sleep with him.
And what did she say?
She said, "No, you're like my brother. I can't do that. Are you crazy?"
Dusty's defense was that he was drunk and he didn't know what he was doing. However, he did not deny the allegations. Mrs. Smith's sister turned Dusty down, which was the right thing to do. I'm impressed that her sister was truthful and knew not to cross boundaries. But Dusty offered her $20 to not tell his wife about the incident. Mrs. Smith's sister, being a very loyal person, opened up to her about it.
Did you ask her sister to have sex with you for $100?
I did, Judge.
Now, were you drunk?
Yes.
Did you like the sister all alone?
No.
Mrs. Smith, how did you find out about that?
She told me. He gave her $20 not to tell me. So 2 days later, she brings me the $20 and
said,
she's like, "This is dirty money. I don't want this."
Sometimes, the husband shouldn't be blamed entirely, and here's why. Mrs. Smith has another sister who was mad at her for throwing her out of her house. The other sister decided to get back at Mrs. Smith by planning to sleep with her husband. Wild, ain't it? An important lesson from this is that one should have a good relationship with siblings, and also be careful to not allow siblings to be too comfortable with their spouses.
She told my younger sister she was going to do whatever she could to get back at me.
Did he go for it?
No, not
Well,
that
that
I'm
was her
aware
bad
of.
and not his
Yeah.
bad. You can't get tagged with that one. So you're all right.
Judge.
You're all right now.
In most divorce court cases, it's the woman suing the man. But in the case of Mr. and Mrs. Whitcomb, it is different. Mr. Whitcomb is divorcing his wife for her sister. He said he's been in communication with Mrs. Whitcomb before he met her sister and had since fallen head over heels with the sister. He said he married Mrs. Whitcomb out of a sense of honor since he started communicating with her first.
Mr. Whitcomb, you are married to Ms. Whitcomb. Ms. Whitcomb, this is your sister, Talia Maryland.
Yes.
You divorcing her to marry her.
Yeah.
How'd we get there, Mr. Whitcomb?
Well, I met Asia and Talia about 12 years ago through a chat line. Asia had showed up with her sister.
Mrs. Whitcomb said they met when she was 19 years old, and at the time, Mr. Whitcomb was a loser, given that he dropped out of school and still lived with his mom. In other words, she thought she could change him. When they first met, she went with her sister for security reasons, but she was in love with him. It was said that her sister later dated Mr. Whitcomb's brother after that first meeting.
Why did you marry Mr. Whitcomb? Were you really in love? Was he the guy you thought he was?
I thought I was. I did love him.
But you say he was a total loser when you met him.
Yeah, he was.
In what respect?
Not much better now. Well, he was living with his mom and didn't finish school, and back then I thought I could change him to make him a better person.
So why did Mr. Whitcomb marry his wife? To him, their marriage was a marriage of convenience. He said that Mrs. Whitcomb changed his life, and her family was a role model to him and made him the responsible man that he is today. However, his wife changed after a while. Mrs. Whitcomb said it was because she lost her mother. She was depressed for a while, and her husband didn't care. So she stopped caring.
You can't marry hope. You have to marry a man.
Yes, I understand that.
And you get the guy you pick, not the one you believe you can turn him into.
Yes.
What I don't understand is you weren't attracted to her. You liked her sister.
She did change me, you know, her family did change me. It was a marriage of convenience. They were
This marriage was a marriage of convenience?
Yeah.
2 words for Mr. Whitcomb: responsible and ungrateful. Mrs. Whitcomb's sister is not a saint. I mean, a sister who slept with her sister's husband-to-be the day before the wedding? Huh. Mrs. Whitcomb said that her husband and sister pretended to hate each other. The sister said she ignored Mr. Whitcomb for 8 years before giving in, and then Mrs. Whitcomb was busy trying to fix her husband. Now, if this isn't rude, I don't know what is.
As far as how we were raised to be all kinds of Destiny Child independent. That's how my parents raised us. Don't depend on no man to take care of you. I was like, he's off limits. You know, let's go. Let's
You're
leave.
telling me that she was out to lunch when your parents were telling her to be independent and don't go with a loser, and now you're picking up that loser that you're telling her she shouldn't have been in there.
Seeing that Mr. Whitcomb has a very close relationship with his wife's family, one would think that someone in her family should be able to slap sense back into his head. But Mr. Whitcomb said that his father-in-law gave him a go-ahead. What? We're short on words. At this point, the only person we're a fan of in Mrs. Whitcomb's family is the eldest sister, who dislikes Mr. Whitcomb.
Did your parents teach you about loyalty? Did your parents teach you about fidelity and family? Were you out to lunch when they said be a good person? Were you out to lunch when you said don't screw another person's husband? Were you out to lunch when you say put family first? You should be at least a little ashamed.
Mrs. Whitcomb complained that Mr. Whitcomb had not been responsible for their children, as he has not been a good father to them. He denied it. It was then she revealed that her sister was put behind bars a few times for beating up Mr. Whitcomb. Apparently, she's having insecurities about Mr. Whitcomb moving back to Mrs. Whitcomb and their children, so she's been trying to prevent him from seeing them. What a sister.
The older sister, of course, dislikes me. The main person was the father. He was like, as long as you guys are happy and I take care of my children.
And have you been taking care of your children?
Ms. Whitcomb, let me
Okay,
handle this
I
for you, okay? So do you take care of your children?
Is Akiba Lewis engaged to her boyfriend, Dane Walker? Or is it her sister that's engaged to him? Dane Walker complained of Akiba's 21-year-old sister, Sasha Lewis, constantly meddling in their business, telling him how to run his relationship. Of course, Akiba sees nothing wrong with her sister's constant meddling.
What are the problems you say that brought you here today? Why are you here?
Your Honor, I'm bringing her here today because her reckless behavior, spending money, and also her sister driving me nuts as far as coming to my house and getting involved in our business, and also her jealous behaviors.
He complained that Akiba spends money recklessly, despite the both of them trying to build a future together. Akiba complained that Dane used to take her on trips a lot when they were dating. Another shocking fact was that Akiba used to work for 3 jobs. but Dane asked her to quit.
Well, Your Honor, as I said, we talked about building the future. Future involves buying a home. You can't do that when you do reckless spending because you want to just go out a bunch of times.
I paid for a staycation, and I did that a lot. We did a lot of weekend getaways. And when I was planning the staycation, it's not like he didn't know, it wasn't a surprise. So he told me that he didn't want to do it.
That's not all. Sasha has been very disrespectful. Dane said that she would call to come to visit them at his house and spend months without contributing anything financially. He also complained that there was a time Sasha came back to his house around 2 a.m. and didn't lock the door. Sasha said it was a minor issue and didn't see it as a big deal.
The lady ends up staying for like a month. Electricity come in and out the house when she wants. There's times I wake up in the middle of the night, the front door is unlocked, people can just walk in the house and she's in the room sleeping.
When you come home to their home and you haven't locked the door and he's gotten up and found that the door to the house is unlocked, what's going on?
Those are just minor things, like I just forget.
You consider that to be minor?
Yes.
Akiba, of course, didn't think it was an issue. Another time, Sasha went to Dane's wallet and took money from it to go shopping with Akiba. Her defense was that her sister Akiba was sad and she wanted to cheer her up. She did what? Mind you, this was without Dane's consent. She also said that since Akiba moved in with Dane, she's become a shadow of herself, with Dane constantly controlling her.
And what happened with the incident with the money? I'm looking at the papers. Did you help yourself to some money from Mr. Walker's wallet?
Yes, I did.
And you feel that it's your right to do so?
It wasn't my right, of course, but at the same time, nothing was going to stop me because just seeing my sister in distress.
And what did she use the money for? What was she distressed about? Do you know?
You know, we went shopping, we got our nails done.
Okay.
Looks like these two are ready to call it quits, but Dane seems to still be in love with her. All the childish behavior of suing themselves for gift refund is unnecessary. An engagement ring costs quite a fortune, but a gift remains a gift.
You're suing for $1,700 for a lost engagement ring. What is that about?
Finally, I go to her and I notice, I say, hey, where's your ring at? She's like, oh, I don't know. I took it off when I was washing dishes, but I don't know where it's at. We've been looking up and down. Every you possibly found, the ring is gone. I cook as well. I cook at least 4 to 5 times a week, Your Honor.
You told me I didn't have to be in the kitchen. Like, this is all, you sold the dream.
Dane cooks? Jeez, I could use a Dane in my life right now. Dane is the husband material. So what does Akiba contribute to the relationship exactly? If she doesn't sit up and get serious with the relationship, she's going to lose a gem. They just need to address their issue. And of course, Sasha needs to get out of the picture ASAP.
The lawsuit the two of you have against each other for the gifts that you gave, I'm not ordering you to pay each other back for that. Good luck to both of you.
What is this world turning into? What's the ordeal with spouses sleeping or getting kinky with their significant other's sister? Meet Sharika Kremiti, who was engaged to Joey Freeman. Joey, a much older man than Sharika and an absolute sweetheart, walked into his bedroom only to meet his woman Sharika being sexually intimate with his younger sister. What a totally disgusting act. Of all people, his sister?
One night she called me, I came over, and I had been going through some things. It was also like the death anniversary of me and Joey's mom. So I went over there to talk with Sharika. She was still crying, so I sat on the bed, to hug her and console her. The next thing you know, we kissed.
Lamisha Sander, Joey's little sister, confirms this and said it was a moment of vulnerability. She agreed she was bisexual, but she was not interested in Sharika. We've never seen someone as shocked as Joey was when he heard his sister was bisexual. She said they both were going through hard times, they kissed, and then things went on from there. Sharika made a scene by crying and blamed Joey for not being there for her, saying he was the reason she slept with his younger sister.
It's just something that happened once. He wasn't there for me to confide in. I really wanted to talk to him, but when Joey wasn't there, she was there for me, Your Honor. When I wanted my fiance, he was not there for me, Your Honor.
My sister, Sharika? Are you
not,
serious?
It wasn't.
All we see and hear are crocodile tears and lies. Unlike Lamisha, one can easily tell that she was sorry. According to her, she just got out of a toxic relationship and was also mourning the loss of her mother at the time, hence the vulnerability. It's possible that Joey never forgives his sister and never speaks to her again. He was beyond heartbroken. Lamisha tried to apologize and take responsibility for her actions by reaching out.
He raised me when my mom died. It was never intentional, and I just really want him to understand how much I love him and care about him. I never meant to hurt him at all.
That's not.
However, Joey was not interested. What a costly mistake. Lamisha even tried to hug her brother, but he declined. Sharika's sexual escapades with Lamisha happened more than once, according to Lamisha, but Sharika denied it. She twisted the story around and started calling Lamisha names, saying that she's delusional and crazy. She went further to say that Lamisha was the one trying to date her. The truth came out, and Sharika admitted that she made all of that up.
It was never planned. I never wanted to be in a relationship with Sharika or anything like that. It's just.
If you accept
think
the
I would've shown
responsibility,
my
you wouldn't have
face?
been in the bed with my
I
fiance.
wouldn't have been
Lamisha.
here today if I didn't accept responsibility for what I did.
She was wanting to pursue a relationship. Like, she texted me saying she was in love with me. I love Joey still.
I never wanted to
And
be in a relationship.
That's a lie.
Sharika's not cut out for marriage with Joey, because who outrightly denies the truth and yet claims to want the relationship to work? Looks like she's only with him for his money. Joey needs to find another woman who loves and adores him.
Miss Cremedy, is there anything you want to come clean about?
She might as well just tell him about it. He knew about once, he didn't know about the other time.
Jeez.
She's crazy.
She might be crazy, but even a broke clock is right twice a day. I asked a question. Did it happen twice?
Yes,